Hi everyone, Jay Sennett, another edition of Cooking with Jay. Hope all of you are doing well back in the Jazz Kitchen. A lot of great music happens in this house and in this kitchen, along with great food. A lot of great food. Thank you for watching the show. Today I'm going to prepare for you, it's kind of a multi-layered, somewhat complex dish. I'm going to use pork tenderloin, I diced up a pork tenderloin, and I'm coating it with cornstarch. It's similar to how you would traditionally make Mongolian beef, but this is not a Mongolian pork. Similar only in the fact that I'm using cornstarch to coat it, okay, which should give it a crispier texture, okay? And along with that, I made an Espanol Demi Glace with, it's going to be, I made the mirepoix, the celery, the onions, the carrots, right? Then I added some butter, cooked it in butter, a lot of butter, flour, mixed it around, add some beef stock to it. Then I add a couple bay leaves, some salt and pepper, and we have a nice demi-glace to use as a base because I'm going to add, and I added some tomato puree in there as well, a little bit, but I'm going to put chunks of tomato in with the pork and some onions here, okay? Additional onions. So let's go over to the stove. And I'm going to serve this pork with a Vino Rosso Fettuccine, basically red wine fettuccine. So the pork with the tomato-based demi-glace and the Vino Rosso Fettuccine. Woo! We're going to have a great dinner tonight. So let's go over to the stove and I'll show you how to put this dish together. Okay. All right. The pork tenderloin, okay, I seasoned it with some salt and some black garlic Szechuan ramen pepper. Okay, that's a mouthful right there. So you have additional flavor in that black pepper that I'm using. Okay. This could have been a little bit hotter before I put that in, but it is okay. And the fettuccine, in my green strainer here, you see the red color here. It's red wine. Vino Rosso Fettuccine. And here, this pot, my Espanol Demi Glace. I put the tomato puree in here, so it's more red than brown. But Espanol is one of the classic French sauces, which has a brown base to it. Basically butter, flour, thickener, beef stock. But you want that butter, that roux, basically, that butter and that flour to get nice and brown. Not dark brown. You can get it brown, though, so you don't want to burn your butter. All right, and what I'm going to do when this pork is done, add the tomatoes, add some onions in there, additional onions, and some of this Espanol demi-glace in here. Because basically, the Espanol sauce is, you can serve it as a standalone sauce, because it's one of the 5 or so classic French sauces that can stand alone on its own. But most of these sauces, like a hollandaise sauce or bechamel, I mean, they can act as a base to many other different sauces, okay? And again, I made this Espanol demi-glace with mirepoix, which is the sofrito, if you will, onions, carrots, and celery. Diced up. And what the cornstarch will do is give it a different texture on the outside. Some of the different textures. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do, add just a little bit more oil, because that cornstarch is taking up some of that oil. I'm going to add some of these onions in here. Not saying cuckoo, just nice, nice. And I season the pork with, again, the salt and some of the Szechuan black garlic ramen pepper that I ordered. And you know, one thing I want to add in here, I'm going to add just a pinch of garlic powder. Just a little bit of garlic powder. I'm not putting garlic in here. Okay, it's okay to do it like that. Woo! Man, that smells good. Smells yummy. And it won't take long for this. When you get the tenderloin, you got to take the silver skin off. Okay, you know how to do that. The white, fatty skin on the outside of the tenderloin. So you're going to take that off. Then I slice it and cut it into. Sometimes I just leave it thin pieces like that. Okay. Sometimes if it's too big, I'll cut it up, break it down like that. All right. Now, that texture, I don't know if you can see the texture. That's what the cornstarch will do. Get a nice texture on that. Really nice. So you get a little crisp. Just a teeny tiny, you can see one here. Just there. Really nice. Okay, got that happening. Now I want to add some of these tomatoes. Nice. All right, now add this Vino Rosso. Woo-hoo-hoo. Tomatoes and onions, nicely seasoned pork tenderloin. Just a few minutes with these tomatoes. I don't know about you, but when I want to add fresh tomatoes to my food, I kind of like the idea of the tomato still having some texture to it, you know, not mushed, right? If I'm adding fresh tomatoes, right? I just want the mush vibe. I'll add crushed tomatoes, so forth, right? But when you add that nice, fresh tomato in there, gives it some, besides the flavor, the visuals, it gives it some extra different texture as well. Okay? So this, my friends, is just about ready. Oh, look at that. It's delicious. I'm gonna taste my sauce. You know, this is like always the big test, Right. There's truth in this though, but I love it when it gets right the first time. You know, if you do this stuff enough, you can kind of see your food. You see the idea in your head. It's there. And I've done this a lot, a lot. So I can pretty much say what's going to be happening here with this dish. So, okay, so it's done. I don't want to overcook those tomatoes. I still want to have some texture in those tomatoes. In a bowl. Let me get some of my Vino Rosso Fettuccine. Red wine fettuccine coming up. All right, now I'm going to add some of this. Now, the only thing with the fettuccine has an odd color to it. This, it's like not pink totally, and it's not red. It's like violet or something. So it's not a very attractive color. But what I want to do is add some more texture and color. Some fresh scallion dabbled on top of that, like so. And we're good to go right here. Tomato. This is pork, my pork tenderloin with an Espanol demi-glace, tomato-based demi-glace. Tomato implying chunks of fresh tomato. I put some tomato puree into making the demi-glace. And I added those tomatoes, and I added some onions. I seasoned the pork, and I coated the pork with some cornstarch instead of flour to give it a little bit different texture, and I cooked it in some olive oil. And then the pasta is Vino Rosso Fettuccine, basically red wine fettuccine pasta. So that's the menu today here in the Jazz Kitchen. I'm Jay Sennett. If you have any questions ever when you watch the show, I got a couple of questions over the past couple of weeks. Someone asked me, Jay, do you visit the countries that you get your ideas from cooking from? And I thought, wow, that's a very, very interesting question. I've been to Europe. I've been to South America a couple of times. I've never been to Africa, but I cook a lot of my cooking has some Northern African influence, like Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, a tad of Egypt, Northern Africa area. My father was from part Northern African, actually, and so I've always been intrigued with the culture. And so I've never been to Africa, but I have been to Europe, particularly in France, and a lot of my food studies take me all over the world. I'll be in an Asian mood for several months, and then I'll be in a French mood for several months. Then I'll be in a Northern African mood for several months, several months. And then in South America, some of the traditional Latino dishes, and getting into some Brazilian food concepts as well. So my food is worldly, folks, worldly, like I am as an artist. I'm a worldly artist, right? Cooking with Jay airs Sundays starting at 6 on the WHRO Public Media Facebook page. You can see archive editions of the show on the WHRO Public Media YouTube channel. And I also host the jazz program, Send It In Session, on WHRV FM 89.5, Monday through Thursday nights, Saturday mornings 1 until 5, Sunday afternoons from 1 until 5. And I also host and produce the R&B Chronicles. If you love great soul music, tune in Friday nights, WHRV FM, from 7 until 8. Okay, and please visit my food venture business, thecosmopolitanpalate.com. Thecosmopolitanpalate.com. And you can see what I'm up to with my food business. All right, I'm going to go eat my dinner. Stay safe, friends. We'll see you again soon with another edition of Cooking with Jay. Take care.